Hi there, my name is Cole, and in today's video we are going to be talking about how I built the Lamborghini Diablo in LEGO. Now if you'd like to build this model yourself, instructions are available at my website and Rebrickable at the links in the description below. So before we go into how I designed this, I just wanted to mention quickly that I have opened a Patreon. So if you would like to support the channel, get access to some exclusive instructions, get early access to some videos and instructions, then go check it out. The link's in the description below. Normally I don't like to tell you guys to subscribe and stuff because I feel like you'll do that on your own if you want to, but I've created this, so I'm going to shout it out now. And so I would really appreciate it if you checked it out. And with that, let's get back to the video. So today, the Lamborghini Diablo. This is based on the Madeleine Diablo, which is a car that exists in real life, which has been modified by I guess it's a company, a shop known as Madeleine in Japan. And they did this really sick racing style Diablo. They do a lot of really sick cars. I'd like to try some of their other ones at some point, but a lot of people have built Diablos in LEGO, so I figured, make something a little bit unique. We'll go with this one first. I will make the other versions eventually, or some of them at least, like the SE30 and the SV, but for now we just have the Madeleine one. And with that, let's move on to the design process of this model. Alright, so here we are building the Diablo. Now as you can see, I am at a new desk. My old desk, which I used to film all the videos on, is right there. As you can see, well, now you can see it better. There's a bunch of stuff on it, and that makes it hard to build. So I got this other old desk, and now I can just put all my Lego on it, which is very nice. So here I have a very simple start. Very simple front bumper. I think a lot of this is going to be modified, but it's just a start. And we got some side skirts, which are basically ripped directly from the Murcielago. The front nose is just this big tiled panel, some vents in it using round tiles. Alright, progress has been made. I will say it is quite handy to have a similar car, whether it be a custom model or a actual Lego set around while you build another model, because you can kind of get an idea of how it would scale. See, these are quite similarly sized. They're quite similarly sized cars in real life, I believe. So I have developed a design for the sides. I decided to go with the design from the Cyberpunk Diablo with this curved slope and plates, because the real Diablo does have relatively thick doors, I guess. So on the bottom we have something very similar to the Murcielago. We have this tile, which is connected with a robot arm. We have a panel, but then we have an inverted curved slope over here. This whole side is very similar to the Murcielago, as you can see. In focus there, just like that. So on top of that, we have the side door, which is quite simple. It's mostly just stacked plates. The back we have a cheese slope, another inverted curved slope, and a bracket. So this connects it sits on top very nicely. Wait for it, slopes go together, bracket fills in the gap, this lines up nicely here. Well, it's not supposed to, this is like how it's supposed to line up. This is supposed to be a little bit lower. So now I'm going to come up with a little way of keeping these in place, and then we'll move on to the rear, I suppose. This is going quite nicely. Alright, it has been a little while, and I'm done with this first prototype of the rear of the car, the rear of Diablo. I'm going to take it apart here so I can show you guys what's going on. So first up, we have a rather simple assembly. Obviously these are the wrong colors. Editors don't have any on white at the moment. And these are quite simply held on by bricks with a stud on the side. And then we have a tile in the middle. Now this part usage was inspired by Mock Atelier. I also used it on the Cyberpunk Diablo. It just looks a lot like that rear bumper in the Diablo, although ironically he used it for a different part of the Diablo bumper. I still think it works very well for that. Then we have the big chunk of the bumper. Now you can kind of see this is a lot of sideways building. Basically we have a kind of dry focus, got a bit of a core with some brackets facing out on either side. And then on either side of that we have this assembly, which has the lights, has a little vent in the bottom. These lights are connected with a bracket, a tile, and I'm trying to put this together through the camera. This all goes together to create this, which I think looks very cool. Now, one thing is that this part is not great. I might see if I can do anything for this, because on the Madeleine Diablo has the extremely cool detail of the exhaust coming out through this rear vent, as opposed to under the bumper. The best way I can represent the exhaust and still get all this together is a 1x2 round plate, which doesn't look that great. So I'm gonna see if we can do something about that, because that looks rather boring. I'll get this back in place. Then we have this assembly, just a little bit offset building. Now this puts a 2x3 tile over the rear lights, which I think is good, because otherwise it looks a bit flat. And this introduces the rearmost vent on the Diablo. Same for this one. And this does make where the engine cover will be a bit narrow, but I think it should work fine. I also added these front vents, although this way of attaching them is way too bulky, so I'm probably going to redo that. Alright, I think that's about it. So I think next, it's coming together real fast, so next we're going to do engine cover and finish up the front here, and we're basically going to be good to go. Alright, so a bunch of progress has been made on the Diablo. Actually, not that much has changed, but a bunch of parts have been added, and so it looks a lot more substantial. Now I've added the roof and windshield, basically identical to the Murcielago, and I think it looks really good. I'll say it looks really low, but I think once we get wheels and the wing on there, it'll work. If not, I can raise it up a little bit, but I think it's about the same height as the Murcielago now, so it should look okay. This still has to be secured. We have this intake in the back, which is just using some offset jumper plates and slopes to make the dual SV style intakes, which are one of my favorite parts of Diablo, and I'm really, really glad they're on the Mad Lane car. And they're just on top of a hinge brick under there that holds it at an angle. It just looks considerably more interesting now. So I will probably finish up the exterior and then you guys will see it again. I know we were kind of done before, but now we're actually done. I don't remember what update you guys last time with, so now that we're basically done, I'll go over it. As you can see, I brought out the Countach besides the Murcielago. We have little white Lambos together. But yes, this is basically done. I have built it in Studio, the free digital building software, and I finished up the interior there. So I still have to put that in. We have something of an interior right now, just the seats basically. Everything is secured. This wheel design is something I was thinking of going with, but I'm not going to keep this. This is going to change. We got the wing on there, and basically everything has been refined, finished up. I got binoculars on the exhaust here, so it definitely looks a lot better than just the plate. I think that's about it for everything that's been updated. So now I just have to find as many parts as I can in, well, preferably as few models as possible. We'll try and keep as many other models together as possible while finding all the parts to finish this thing up. So I'll get to work on that. And I think we'll just head back to the main part of the video. And that is the design process. And so now I'll talk about it a bit so you guys can see what it looks like all completed. That is, whole model is relatively unique compared to most LEGO Diablos, and the completely tiled off hood definitely helps that. I think this is the only place I've seen this technique used, and it looks very clean, even if it's maybe a bit too angular, or a bit too square, I suppose. The Mad Lane style upgrades came out incredibly cool, and this whole model just looks really sick next to the high car Murcielago, which is a similarly modified car. And so, too, just look really sick. I'm especially happy with the rear, which has most of the detail of a Diablo, and still looks very clean. The roof intakes are also extremely simple, but I'm very happy with how it's turned out. Those are one of my favorite parts of, well, if a Diablo has roof intakes, then that's one of my favorite parts of the car. And the dark red interior looks incredible next to the white. I don't do weird colored interiors, or I do mostly black interiors in most of my cars, so it's nice to have something that stands out like this. Alright, I think that's it for now. With these videos, sometimes I would do the design process and then go over all the design details again. I feel like that's a bit redundant, so I'll just leave it at that. So like I said, if you'd like to build this model yourself, instructions are available. You can check out the Patreon. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you might return for the next one.